Everybody, good morning TikTok. Okay, good morning everybody. It's Wednesday the 22nd of October. This is AI with Kyle and we're going to be walking through the latest AI news and updates that are going on, and it is a busy day. The first couple of days of the week have been relatively quiet, and it looked like everyone was waiting until Tuesday to launch. Big news, which if you've been paying any attention you would not have missed, is ChatGPT founders or ChatGPT creators OpenAI have launched their own web browser. If you are on the YouTube stream right now, you will be able to see the web browser, and it looks an awful lot like Chrome because, well, it is based on Chrome. So this is another Chromium browser. So all of the various different browsers that we've seen recently, Perplexity, Comet, Dia, I'm not really sure how you say it, Strawberry, I think is the new one that came out last week. They are all Chromium based. Strawberry, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's Chromium. Basically, Chromium is a stripped down version of Chrome that a lot of other browser providers use to create their own browsers. And OpenAI are no different. So they have not created a browser from the ground up, but instead they've used Chromium, the existing framework, in order to create Atlas. I've been playing around with it this morning and it's fine. It's perfectly fine. I'm going to give you a quick tour of what we're looking at. But it's available for you to check out. I think it's only available on, I think it might only be available on Mac right now, which is bizarre. Let's have a look. So ChatGPT Atlas, let's see if it's on Windows. Which it should be able to do because Chromium works on both Windows and okay, it's just on Mac OS and on Silicon chips. So you need to have a more modern app, Apple Mac, nobody calls them that, Mac OS, in order to get this working. But you get it from chatgpt.com/atlas, and then you'll be able to get it going. Currently only available for Mac OS, and it requires an M series chip. So that is a bit strange because Chromium does work on Windows as well. So I don't know why they haven't bothered with that. The actual app itself, the browser, it looks a lot like Chrome. The main thing is the kind of address bar where you'd normally put in a URL. When you put something in there, it's going to ask ChatGPT by default, which is a little bit annoying. So let's say I wanted to look up the Rundown AI, which is a newsletter. I would go and I would add that, and it's going to search the internet and basically run a ChatGPT query. That's fine if you do want to run a ChatGPT query, but I think because I'm used to running web searches using that magic bar at the top, it feels a little bit awkward. I can also click on the search button once I'm into ChatGPT and it will actually show me the listings. I don't know how they're doing this. Oh no, I do know how they do it. They are just running it. It's a Google search. So it's just showing me Google results in the order that they would appear on Google, and there's a little link which goes out to Google. However, that means I'm getting my Google results, my Google index websites, through ChatGPT, through this specific search function, which means Google are not getting their advertising revenue. That's going to annoy Google, let's put it that way. I can also search for images, I can search for videos, and I can search for news. So it has the different tabs which you'd expect in Google, but they're all directly in this this Atlas interface. But the first one, the home, will basically be a ChatGPT search. ChatGPT query by the looks of it, with search toggled on by default. It's a little bit clumsy, but considering more and more people are just using ChatGPT instead of the internet in order to find information, I think it's okay. The other thing I have noticed is it's a little bit slower than Google, probably because they're loading the Google results and then pulling them into ChatGPT. Might also be because they only launched yesterday, so I can't really tell right now, but it feels a little bit sluggish compared to Google. So that's the kind of the main difference, I would say, is how you use the browser. It's going to search or query, I have to stop saying search, it's going to query or prompt ChatGPT by default instead of running a Google search. And if you want to turn that into a search, you just need to click one more button. So if you are searching, it's a little less efficient, but considering they're chat-based, that kind of makes sense. Also, when you are on a page, so let's say I'm on this page by TechCrunch right now, which is talking about OpenAI and their new browser, there is an Ask ChatGPT button on the right hand side. So you might have had a browser extension like this that did this already. They've been around for a couple of years. This is just built in. So I can put it, can ask it to summarize this article. So it's basically going to pull the HTML, presumably from the page on the left hand side, and summarize it on the right hand side. Ooh, that's quite slow. Atlas could threaten Google's ad business by drawing users away from Chrome. Yeah. And processing search queries through AI chat. Exactly what I just said. It's summarized in this article. So this is kind of cool. I think what is more cool, though, is that there is a memory. So, for example, every single morning I pull together all of the AI news from the day. What I'm going to be able to do now is open all of these articles in Atlas browser. And Atlas will have knowledge of all of the articles that I've looked at. So then when it comes to me summarizing and creating the newsletter, I already have an AI that has access to all of the websites. What I do at the moment is I have to go back to the website or to the browser afterwards and copy and paste out all those URLs. So for certain things like this, it's going to be a bit more practical. It's also going to remember all of the web addresses you've been to are going to be basically saved into your ChatGPT account, for better or worse. Which means, one, you're going to be able to pull that information, because you'll be able to say, oh, I was on a website the other day, I can't remember what it was or where it was, but I remember reading about such and such, and you'll be able to pull that in. That's kind of cool. What they're doing here is they're increasing their surface area so that ChatGPT has more knowledge about what we're doing, our interests, and what we're looking for on a daily basis. That is more training material, and it's more material they can use to customize the experience for us. The reason they're doing this, obviously, is for advertising. Because if they are following me around the internet, if they are watching me, look at a new Osprey bag that I want to buy, or they're looking at the fact that I'm going away next weekend on a holiday, and now they know where I'm going because I've searched certain places, I've searched for ferry tickets and train tickets, etc. That is all going to be going into ChatGPT, and it's all going to be used for advertising, which they will be launching sooner rather than later. And now they have an additional surface area. So it's not just in the application, it's on the browser. So they are following me all around the internet. On this, the privacy issue, passwords. I have not given ChatGPT access to all of my passwords. I don't think that's safe enough yet. So when I loaded up Atlas initially, it was like, hey buddy, do you want to import all of your passwords and all of your details from Chrome? And I said, no, I don't think I do. Thank you very much, ChatGPT. I trust Google to look after those passwords, my password manager, because they have been doing it for a long time, and they have had leaks, but nothing catastrophic. So I kind of trust Google. I do not necessarily trust OpenAI with all of my passwords for all of my websites. So when you open up Atlas, it's going to give you that question. It's going to say, hey, do you want to import all of your private data, all of your passwords, and your whole internet life from Chrome, the browser that you've been using up until now? I chose no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm entering in my passwords one by one, which honestly is a ball ache. It adds a lot of friction. Moving over to a new browser is already a pain, a big pain. Not trusting it with my passwords, so I can't just do a complete migration, makes it even more annoying. So I might be going back to Chrome more rather than less over the next few days. I'm going to be trying out Atlas in the same way that I've tried out Perplexity's Comet, Deer, and all of the other browsers that have been coming out. Whether or not it will stick kind of depends, and it also depends on how much information you want to give OpenAI and how much you trust them with it compared to how much you trust Google. That is going to be a value judgment. So this is the big news this week. It's going to dominate this week, I imagine. I'm going to go through some of the discussions about it, but first let me hop over to some questions. Jojo saying me neither. Is that not wanting to give all your passwords to OpenAI? Because I think that's fair. I don't think this is me being a conspiracy theorist. I think this is, they have not proven themselves to be able to hold on to this kind of information safely for a long time, whereas Google have. I've given my passwords to Chrome. There haven't been any massive data leaks, so I kind of trust them more because they have a track record. With OpenAI, I don't know. And they're going to be a massive target as well. So I'm holding off for now. Maybe that's too conservative, but I don't want to give my banking passwords to an application that may or may not be secure, because I just don't know. And this is also is moving us more and more and more towards allowing ChatGPT to act as an agent in our life. So something I didn't show you, but if I go to like booking.com, I'm not going to log in, but I can now go to Ask ChatGPT and I can put it into agent mode. Let me go through some questions before I do this, but I can stick it into agent mode and allow it to act on my behalf. So we'll try it out. If you are on TikTok, the best way to see this is going to be on YouTube. Let's go ahead and decline this. So let's put it into agent mode and see what it can do on booking.com. So where do we want to go? Let's go to Taiwan. I want to this would be a good demonstration if I could type. I want to go to Taiwan next year. Let's say, I don't know, March. Find me cost-effective tickets from London. Oh, agent mode may introduce risk. Oh yeah. In agent mode, ChatGPT can perform complex tasks in the browser for you. In logged in mode, ChatGPT can access your logged in sites, making it faster to complete tasks. ChatGPT is built to protect you, but there's always some risk that attackers could successfully break our safeguards to access your data. Let's start it in logged out mode. So I'm not going to be giving it access to my ChatGPT, but I am giving it access to the website that I'm looking at. I'm also not logged into booking.com. So it is scanning the page. I'm getting ready to help find cost-effective tickets for the user. Oh, it's gone. I'm beginning setting up the foundation for this request by initializing so I can gather the necessary information to provide better results, like flight options from London to Taiwan next March. I'm recognizing the user's interest in cost-effective flights for March 2026. Since we're already on booking.com, I'll focus on searching the best deals here. Okay, so I could have not used booking.com. I could have just started in agent mode and it would have gone off to find websites. Now that's interesting. It's gone to Skyscanner. Very interesting. So I'm watching the little cursor move around the screen. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, when you are showing, I don't want to be ageist here, but when you're showing somebody older how to use a website. This is terrible. But you're standing behind them like, yeah, just click there. Okay, yeah, and there. Yeah, click there. Come on. It has that speed where I'm watching this cursor like slowly move around the screen. It's like, come on. Okay, that's interesting. It has not asked me how long I want to go for, which is information I did not provide, but I kind of expected it to ask me, but it hasn't asked that. So what it's done is it's found me a flight from March 1st to March 15th. Just slowly working through. Okay, there we go. It's got it. So best £784. Oh wow, £477. That's cheap. £440. £400. It found a £400 flight. That is cheap considering I'm going to somewhere in the UK next week and it's costing me about the same, which is madness. Okay, so it is working. I managed to get rid of a pop-up there. Yeah, okay, this is functioning. It hasn't been blocked. It is moving through the task. It's very slow. That is something that will speed up, presumably, but it's moving at currently slower than human pace, which if you're an agent, we kind of want it to be much faster. We want it to be able to scan through all these results and move at a speed which is which puts us to shame. It did not do that. So here we go. I looked up current options for flights from London to Taiwan in March. So this is going March 1st to March 15th. The cheapest I found is China Eastern. That's fine. I like China Eastern. Goes from Heathrow, arrives at Taipei, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it found one which stops in Shanghai. That's fine. for £400. Very cheap, extremely cheap. You can often save money by being flexible with dates, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what I'm going to do, I won't be able to do this because I haven't got my credit card, but let's say book this for me. Let's see if it will even try to do that, or if it will say, I can't do that. What's happened here? You can see my desktop. Very strange. I don't know why my screen's gone strange. If you're on YouTube, there's something about the way the agent is working, which it's adjusted the size of my screen as far as my computer is concerned. That's very odd. Let's do this. So sorry, YouTube. Ta-da. That's annoying if you're streaming about it. Okay, so it is going ahead and it is trying to book for me. It's actually quite a good flight for £400. I might buy that. So I want to see what happens if it will say, hey, I need your credit card details. Okay, so it looks like what it's going to do is it's going to get to the billing stage and it is going to then ask me to fill out the details. So it's brought me to water basically, and now it's saying, okay, you need to finish this off. For privacy and security reasons, I need your explicit confirmation and the necessary details before I can continue. Could you please provide passenger and contact information? So technically it could do it for me. I'd be typing my details into the chat box and it would take them over into the form. But at that point, what is the additional use of doing that? I don't really know. Anyway, there are definitely things we could use this for. Right now, though, the agent is very slow, but you could set it tasks and it could go off and do that in the background, research tasks, going to websites, filling out forms, etc. I'm sure you could set up an agent which can go and fill out those survey forms and you can make extra money if you want to do so. So it's fine. Whether or not I'll be using Atlas moving forward, I'm not certain. Especially because it's screwed up my YouTube. Oh my god, what is going on? Sorry, YouTube. There we go. But please go and try it out. Be very, very aware of the privacy concerns. Maybe don't give it all of your passwords. Definitely don't give it your credit card details. I think that's a generally good practice. And tell me what you think. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, go and have a go. Tell me in the comments what you think about this, because I'd love to hear your opinions. Okay, I'm going to hop over to some questions. Please go and play with it, though. It's fun. Nat says, trust fall with Atlas, all in. Yeah, I mean, that is one way you could do it. I'm kind of tempted. I can create virtual credit cards using Revolut or a virtual debit card. I could give it a virtual card, so the worst comes to the worst, I can take off that card, and that would be a fun way to test. I think that over the next few years, it will become the norm. We will be given our credit card details, be given our personal details to artificial intelligence. It's just when do we do that? Because remember when we started to first buy things on the internet, e-commerce, there was a whole thing about, oh, I'm not going to give a computer my credit card details. There's no way it's going to be secure. And obviously we got over that, and now e-commerce is absolutely massive. So we're going to have to go through a similar shift, which I know and I understand, but I still don't want to give Atlas my details yet. I'm going to wait and to see what goes wrong, and then and then later. ChatGPT's Comet. Yeah, it's a lot like Comet. So all of the AI browsers are pretty similar, I would say. They just have a different kind of chat functionality in the top, but their agent mode, the slide out navigation bars and stuff like that is all very similar. And considering they're all built in Chromium as well, it's not surprising they all have the same look and feel. So yes, if you've used Comet, it's pretty similar to this, honestly. Okay, let's have a look at what people are actually saying. So let's on TechCrunch. This is an article from TechCrunch about OpenAI's new browser, and they are specifically calling it out as a broadside shot at Google, which is 100% it is. So today, OpenAI launched its new Atlas web browser in a surprise live stream, and it was a surprise. They just put out a tweet a couple of hours before, and people guessed very quickly that it was a browser because it had little tabs. We think AI represents a rare once-in-a-decade opportunity to rethink what a browser can be, Altman said. In the same way that for the previous way people use the internet, the URL bar and the search box were great analog, what we're starting to see is that the chat experience in the web browser can be a quick analog. So 100% they've changed that URL bar, so we're not typing in web addresses anymore. That has become a ChatGPT, a chat bar. So that's, yeah, it's a form of rethinking what a browser can be, and it does feel different. It feels clunky for me, but that's because I'm used to using a search bar. So we just need to rewire our brains. But the actual browser experience itself feels very similar to Chrome because it is built on Chromium. This is not particularly new. So this isn't revolutionary. It's, I would say, evolutionary. It was an inspiring note in the classic Steve Jobs mode, but even more important than Altman's browser was the detritus he was sweeping aside to make room. It wasn't just casting present-day browsers as old, but part of a whole package of goods that are about to be replaced by AI. Yep. As Altman put it, part of the previous way people use the internet, search. And most of those soon-to-be obsolete services trace back to a single company, Google. I mean, this is very, very true. So it's been an open secret since last summer. Yeah, we've been talking about it for a year or so, and I remember they hired a guy who worked on the Chrome browser. I forget his name, but as soon as they hired him, everyone was like, oh, OpenAI are working on a browser. And yeah, they were. And it was clear from the beginning that it would be a potential threat to Google, a current owner of the world's most popular browser, Chrome. I think Chrome's market penetration. Here we go. So I'm searching for the market penetration, but I'm using ChatGPT rather than using Google because I'm using their browser. So already this has taken me away from Google. So they have 65 to 68% of the web browser market is Chrome at the moment. So that's a huge monopoly. And this is why there were antitrust suits, or one of the reasons why there were antitrust suits against Google. And there was talk a few months ago about having to divest it, having to sell Chrome because it gave Google too much power. That might not be the problem anymore. Tuesday's product and presentation details makes it clear exactly how much of the web giant has to lose in the AI area and how little the Google success with Gemini seems to have helped. So I've talked about this again and again and again and again. Yes, Google are pivoting. Yes, they have AI products. They have Gemini. They have AI Studio, which I'm going to show you shortly after this. They've got a new build mode, which is really good. But most of their money, 70-80% of their revenue, comes from search. It comes from us going to Google and seeing adverts at the top of Google. That's where their money comes from. It does not come from Android. It does not come from their telephones. It does not come from Gmail or any of their products. They're very small amounts of cash compared to search. That is where the money comes from. It is primarily an advertising company. It is not a tech company. It's an advertising company. This is a massive threat to the cash cow that Google have had for the last 2 decades or so. So the immediate threat is simple enough. ChatGPT draws 800 million users a week, 10% of the world. And if those users switch to Atlas, they're most likely switching away from Chrome, because Chrome is 60-70%. Losing those users doesn't have an immediate dollar cost for Google. It's a free product, but it limits Google's ability to target ads to those users and nudge them to Google search, and instead allows ChatGPT to run adverts, as I was saying earlier. A particular sore point, because just last month, Google was barred by the US Department of Justice for making search exclusivity deals. Yeah, they were told by the DOJ that they weren't allowed to monopolize search, which they basically were doing. And now OpenAI have come along with a fix for that, giving an alternative. So what I just noticed while I was using it, they've mentioned here, how OpenAI deals with search itself is in the Atlas browser is that it is pulling the results from Google, but it's showing them to you inside of their own interface, which means there are no adverts attached to it. So Google is no longer making money from that search result. That's really going to upset Google. And I wonder if they're going to block access. So I will literally search. It will give me the search engine results, which are indexed by Google. There's a button which allows me to go off to Google and to see it originally in Google, but I think it looks like they're just scraping them into Atlas, and that means Google doesn't get any advertising revenue. So OpenAI are providing the kind of service of Google without the adverts of Google. If they also overlay their own adverts, OpenAI adverts on top of that, I wonder if Google has a case there that you may not use our indexed results. You may not use this to profit. Already, I'm sure their legal departments are looking at this and thinking, we need to deal with this quickly because this is a massive threat. The new model of search is really powerful. It's a multi-turn experience. Ooh. You can have this back and forth with your search results instead of being sent off to a web page. I mean, I agree here. Search is the old paradigm, the old way that we used to access information, and we're shifting away from that rapidly. And I think something like Atlas is going to make it a lot easier. Of course, Google has done a lot to integrate AI into normal search experience, but the company has mostly approached it in the same way as product listings or reviews, by adding a box to the results page. They add the AI overviews at the top, which in a weird way are also a threat because it means people aren't clicking to websites. If they're not clicking to websites, that starts to demolish Google's display ad network as well. OpenAI's kind of engaged back and forth is beyond anything you can get on Chrome, and given its profoundly different approach, it's not something that can be easily copied. I think it could. Google could copy this, and they've already added an AI mode into search. The thing is, by doing so, Google speed up their demise. So Google currently are relying on a huge amount of cash coming from search, and anything that they integrate, like AI overviews, AI mode in Google, if they added AI search box or an AI chat into Chrome itself, all of that threatens their cash cow. Potentially, yes, they can make money from AI moving forward. They can pivot into becoming an AI first business, and they can make money from subscriptions and adverts served up in the AI. But right now that is an unknown. Whereas what they've been making money from for the last couple of decades is known, it's profitable, and it works. So they're in a really tricky position. And how do you turn this gigantic ship, which makes a tremendous amount of cash from search? How do you pivot that into AI? Because if you don't, OpenAI and the AI companies are going to eat their lunch. They're going to destroy them. But if you do pivot, you have to kill your cash cow and move to your AI business, which is much more risky. So I don't envy anyone at Google right now. If anyone's going to pull it off, it will be Google. They have very smart people. They're a clever company, and they're pretty nimble, and they are already experimenting with AI. But it's just a hell of a ship to turn. Anyway, I think there'll be some panic at Google today. I'll reach out to some people at Google that I know and see what they're feeling. But I imagine they're not particularly happy. I'm going to hop over to some questions, and then I'm going to actually look at a Google product, which I think it released yesterday as well, unfortunately. Bad timing. They still have YouTube. Yes, YouTube is huge. So YouTube is the second highest volume search engine on Earth. But let's have a look. So let's use Atlas. What percentage of revenue comes from YouTube versus search? Because I don't know the answer to that. So search and other is 60% or 57% total revenue, and YouTube ads is 10%. So it's smaller. It's not nothing, but most of their cash comes from search adverts at the top, and that's the cash that they need to replace over the next few years. It's tricky. It's tricky. It's just a lot of money. Also, what are the This is interesting because I'm using Atlas to answer these questions instead of searching for it. So operating margin is 34%. Gross margin is 60%. That's amazing. Oh, they do not publish separate profit margins for YouTube or Google and search. Okay, so we can't get that information. But most of their cash comes from people directly going to Google and seeing adverts at the top. And then about 10%, maybe more, slightly more, comes from YouTube directly. Yeah, Keita says, I'm surprised YouTube is only 10%. That is from Visual Capitalist. They're normally pretty good. So Google Search 57%, 12% Google Cloud. It's not bad. 12% Google Subs plus platforms plus devices. 10% YouTube ads and 9% Google Network. And that's 350 billion revenue. So they need to replace 60% of their 350 billion revenue over the next couple of years because of artificial intelligence. This is the difficulty that they're going to be encountering over the next few years. It's not impossible, it's just a lot of money to replace. A lot of money. Best of luck to them though. So I did actually want to jump over, what have we got? We've got Amazon's robots. We'll talk about them later. What I want to show you is something called Google Studio Build. So Google Studio Build is a vibe coding tool that Google have put out. Google have actually got a couple. They've got Opal, which is kind of it's still in labs at the moment, but it's more of a workflow generator. So it's more like N8N, or God, what was the one that ChatGPT released that nobody's using? Agent Kit, a bit like that. So they have Opal, but they also have, as of, I think they released it yesterday, the build mode in AI Studio. It's a little bit hidden. Oh, I have unsaved changes. Oh, I have to save. That feels very old-fashioned. I'm just going to save my changes and I can go back. So if you go into Google AI Studio, there's a whole bunch of things you can do in here, but they've added a new mode called Build. I'm pretty sure it's new. I get confused with their product offering. It looks new and I haven't used it before, so I'm pretty sure it's new. Google AI Studio Build is basically like Lovable or Bolt, but it is inside the Google ecosystem. So it's going to be using Gemini and it's going to be using Nano Banana. I'm using it on my kind of workspace account. I do not know if you have to pay usually. I'm not 100% sure, but it is a vibe coding tool that is released. I think it released yesterday, which is incredibly unfortunate timing because nobody's paying any attention because of ChatGPT's browser. But I put together an application and it works. It was a good application. Basically, I want to be able to make thumbnails from my newsletter. And let's see if it's saved any. I made this in a few minutes. This is a one shot. So I'm going to grab a newsletter, throw it in. This one here. I haven't done any tweaking over the design or anything like that, but I've thrown in one whole newsletter, so I haven't changed. I've just copied and pasted it, so it has like the cookie notice, the privacy policy. It's got loads of mess, but it should be able to deal with that. And what I can do is I can upload photos of myself, like reaction photos, like those YouTube photos. It can do sentiment analysis to work out if they're surprised or happy or terrified. I can also manually tag them, and then it combines those images with images it generates using Nano Banana, which are related to the story, and it also overlays text. So I just threw in yesterday's newsletter. So the first story was about Claude Code and the web version. Second story was ChatGPT for doctors, and the third was Reid Hoffman talking about the good guys in AI. And it will generate thumbnails. So the first one is Claude Code in browser, huge for non-devs. Anthropic Mrs. Mark, that's a bit confusing. The second is ChatGPT for doctors, hit 6 billion, why rappers win big. The third is Reid Hoffman draws AI battle lines, who are the good guys. So it's managed to overlay the text, which normally AI struggle with, or they try to generate the text and it looks terrible. And then it has generated nano banana images, and it will insert my photo as well. The nano banana images it's generated are crap. They look like AI slop, but that's because I haven't given any instructions about what kind of images I want at all. So what I'm going to do after this is give it a bunch of thumbnails and say this is the type of style I want to use, I want to emulate, and then also upload my photos as well. But this was vibe coded in 4 or 5 minutes from a very basic prompt, and I believe it is free. So if you don't want to pay for Lovable, Bolt, Replit, etc., definitely go and check this out. Like a lot of the Google products, they don't really market them, so I don't think many people know about this, but it is AI Studio and then Build. So I think it's just called Build. I don't know. I should talk to their team because the marketing is a bit... the fact that I don't even know what it's called is a bit of a problem. Let's call it Google AI Studio Build. But yeah, go and have a go with it, play around with it, and I'd love to know what you think about it. Because so far, I'm pretty impressed. And because it has Nano Banana, which is good, it will allow us to do image and video based content, which is really cool. So go and play around with that, because that's what we need. We need yet another vibe coding tool. Do you mean thumbnails for YouTube? Yeah, I'm gonna create a YouTube thumbnail generator. So it will create images using Nano Banana based on examples that I give and the kind of style that I want. It will overlay photos of me, real photos of me, because I think creating AI photos of yourself always looks a bit weird. And it will overlay the text, and it will do that based on newsletters that I create automatically. So it will pull the newsletter information, break down the different stories, pull them out, and then create one image for each. Or actually, I will create 3 images for each, because YouTube allows me to upload 3 thumbnails. So very cool. And I built it in a few minutes using this new tool, Google AI Studio Build. Definitely go and check it out. And that is not sponsored. I just thought it was a cool tool. Although I am going to a concert with Google in about a month, which I'm quite excited about. They invited me to, I won't say, no, I can say who. I'm going to a Radiohead concert with the Google team, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, go and try out Google AI Studio, but not because of that, but because it's a cool new tool. Right, I'm going to finish up the live stream. As always, everything is going to be available on YouTube. There's going to be cut up versions, clips, and there's going to be a newsletter which comes out every single day, which has a written summary as well as links to the time codes in the specific videos. So it's a good way to catch up without having to watch the whole live. What else? That's it for now. I'm not doing the Build in Public live stream anymore. I'm just kind of building myself and then doing occasional videos at the same time. What I am doing though is putting together a mini training on how to get into vibe coding, because I know it's still quite intimidating for people and they don't know how to start. So I'm putting together a training. It would be an hour or 2, and the idea is to make it work with any vibe coding tool. So it's not about, hey, this is the best vibe coding tool for this. It's about the basic principles behind building software and vibe coding, and just kind of getting you started. So it won't be highly technical, but it would be more about what kind of things you can build and how you structure your project and how you go from there. So it's more about training yourself than it is specifically working with technical tools. So I'm putting that together at the moment as well. I'm also putting together something much larger, which is a guide, no, more than a guide, like an interactive orientation and operating system for working out what kind of business you should start with artificial intelligence. So it goes through a number of lessons. So it's going to be video lessons, it's going to be some text, but then it's going to be tools that guide you, and you're going to work with the AI, and it's going to help you work out what you should be doing in order to generate some kind of income from artificial intelligence, because I think it's really important right now, because it's one of the easiest times ever to be an entrepreneur, because we can build and we can launch and we can market so easily, and at the same time 9 to 5 jobs are getting less and less safe. So I want to encourage more people to start something on the side, some kind of side hustle, or potentially their own business. So I'm building an operating system that's going to allow us to do that, which hopefully I'm going to have the basics of it done by the end of the week. That's the plan, but I'm going on holiday next week, so expect that in a couple of weeks from now. If you want details on these projects and when they're coming out, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter, because that's where you're going to be hearing about it first. And if there's any discounts or any early bird offers, they will be in the newsletter as well, so make sure you are subscribed. Awesome, thank you so much everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with more news. Make sure you go and check out Atlas. Don't necessarily give it your password yet, wait a little bit, see if there's a breach, but definitely go and try it out, and try out Google AI Studio Build as well, and tell me what you think about them in the comments. Thanks so much.